ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first summit. It will be hosted in English by me. My name is Alexandra, if you don't know me. I'm very happy to see everyone here.
Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm of course your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be breaking into a very big talk that was with the developers of World of Tanks Blitz. Basically, about 2 months ago, Darth Antonius, which is the World of Tanks Blitz PR person, contacted me and basically said, hey, we're going to be doing a World of Tanks dev talk where you can write questions for the developers of the game, things that you'd like to see changed, and things that you don't understand. And basically, that's exactly what I did. And I decided, you know what, I'm not a CC for Wargaming, so I'm going to make some pretty big questions that they might not have the easiest time to answer. So that's exactly what we're going to be going over in today's video, is some of the biggest questions that were asked, the answers given to them, the agreements and disagreements, and all the other goodies that you need to know. Now, I will say that this video took about 3 hours to edit. I mean, the whole video itself was about 3 hours long, so it was a lot of editing. If you like this type of content and you'd like me to do this in the future, maybe with devs again, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. It takes a lot of time to organize these events, and it really means a lot when you guys are subscribed to the channel. So let's get straight into the first question.
So I would like to know if there will be any changes regarding the matchmaking when it comes to classes, because on some maps there is an issue that it can appear that your team has 1 heavy tank and maybe 3 tank destroyers, and the enemy team has 3 heavy tanks but 1 tank destroyer, and these matchups can pretty much lead to an outcome before the game even started.
Unsurprisingly to nobody, the matchmaker was a big topic in the questions for the devs, because we all have issues with the matchmaker, especially when you're a skilled player. You start to notice a lot of the faults in the game that really shouldn't be faults. The biggest one was definitely brought up by Every there. I completely agree with the fact that the matchmaker can throw, let's say, 3 tank destroyers on one team, all being tier 9, and the enemy team can have 2 tier 8 tank destroyers, and then they'll have frontline heavies that just completely murder your tier 8s, or whatever tier it is. I mean, a perfect example of this is my Vickers CR game yesterday for the video. I played in the Vickers CR, and I was the only light tank upon both teams. And because of that, I was able to farm 5,000 damage, outspot the enemy mediums, being the Centurion 1 and Defender Mark 1, and then come up vehicles behind like the TS5 and spot him. I mean, it's ridiculous what you can do when you have spotting superiority over the enemy team. Light tanks, their whole job is basically spotting. You've got the camouflage and you've got the mobility to get into position, and then you just don't get detected. And that gives you just immense firepower over the enemy team. Even if you don't shoot, just being able to see where the enemy's going and them not being able to see you is immensely strong. So that question was a very big one. So let's see how Wargaming replied to it.
Yeah, so what Alexander said is that we are constantly tracking all the maps, all the battles, and we gather all that massive pool of statistics. And now it shows like no some drastic differences depending on team composition. So put it in simple, it's like according to statistics, it's not like a big problem there.
So as you can see, the Wargaming devs basically said that statistically they don't see any anomalies with matchmaker lineups and how win rates or players are performing. And what I don't understand about them answering like that is, for every win, isn't there a defeat? I mean, that would make sense, right? For this battle that you're going to see me win here, the enemy team's going to lose, which means that that's a 50% win rate. And no matter how many games you play, there's always going to be a winning team and a losing team. So that would make sense that obviously 50% of the games won are also having 50% of the games lost. So I don't really understand what statistics they would possibly have that are actually showing them these numbers. So I really like for Wargaming to actually elaborate on these statistics, because it really doesn't make sense to me how every single YouTuber basically questioned the matchmaker and how there are definitely issues behind it. And any good player I've ever talked to has also agreed upon this. I mean, as I said, that Vickers CR gameplay that I had yesterday, I basically said right as soon as that battle started that it was going to be a win because I was the only light tank. It was very easy to tell. And, well, I won that battle with 5,000 damage. It's not a question in my mind that the matchmaker has problems. And personally, I believe Wargaming said that without actually having really anything to back up their claims. Next up, we have a question by the one, the only, me.
So replays was a great idea. I mean, when we got it, we were YouTubers and players are able to look back at the games. But I know the rewind ability is in the game files, but currently to rewind on replays, we have to press the escape key on PC, reload it up, and then if we miss it again, have to go back. So not only for being a YouTuber, but just actually just trying to get a spot in your replay and not being able to rewind 5 seconds is something that I feel like should be fixed with the replay system.
This, for me personally, and I bet a lot of you out there as well, is a really, really annoying thing. When you want to look at a replay or show somebody a really cool snapshot, find out where a shot penetrated you and see where the heck it hit, you skip ahead by like 2 seconds, and then you have to redo the whole replay, go back into the garage, click on your replays, bring it back up. It is one of the most annoying things ever. And not only when I try to record videos, but literally whenever I'll try to show my friends a clip and I'll skip too far ahead by clicking too far on the replay, it is incredibly irritating having to redo the whole replay. And sure, it might not be the most pressing of issues in the game. There are issues like the matchmaker, but this is something that should be an easy fix, judging that Wargaming themselves already has a rewind capability in the in-game files. Basically, their response, which I'm not even going to bother to show, they said that it would be too complicated currently and take too much time to add a functionality to have rewind on replays. It's too hard for them, basically, to do it right now. Which doesn't make sense at all to me because, well, my moderator, who is able to dig into the files, a lot of you know him on my server by the name of Asen, or he'll even give Pantoof some information on new tanks coming out, like the new Battle Pass tank. Well, basically, he was able to dig into the Blitz files and find the replay functionality. In fact, you can see a clip of it right here. So, replay rewind does exist. And the fact that they said it would be too hard for them to implement it makes absolutely no sense. They also have slow-mo for replays. I mean, I really don't understand at all what their reasoning behind it being too hard to do is. Since it already exists in the game, all they need to do is make it available to the public. Now, sure, there could be a couple bugs behind it, but it's better than having to rewind the entire replay. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. Another one of these big questions asked had to do with the balancing of the Smasher and the Annihilator, so let's get straight into it.
It's about balancing a special on level 7, because I know that it's hard to balance a game, because there are some tanks that are stronger and other they are harder to drive, but they are two tanks like called Smasher and Annihilator. Is planned in future to balance there something? I mean, we could say right now, yeah, it's funny and hard to play versus them and stuff like that, but at the end, is there any change in the future or what's going on there?
Alexander says that he agrees that tier 7 is a bit out of balance comparing to other tiers. So to put it maybe a bit more direct than Alexander said, but we do see the problem with these two tanks, and we are looking for solutions that are not as direct as just nerfing them. But we see it and we are working on it.
This is one of the first and only times that Wargaming will actually admit that the Annihilator and Smasher are actually out of balance in Tier 7. You do not know how surprised I was to see that they actually agreed with the opinion of the public. Clearly, when these tanks are spammed so much at Tier 7. I mean, the Smasher we have seen is the top performing Tier 7 in the game, it's the most played Tier 7 in the game, and the Annihilator is right behind it on its tail with players and win rate. I mean, it's no doubt in my mind why these tanks are performing so well. It's because they're broken. And Wargaming notices that they are broken. There's one issue, which I don't think they wanted to say there in the dev talk, but it's pretty common sense when you think about it. Why don't they want to nerf a collector and premium that earns them so much money? Well, it's because it earns them so much money. If Wargaming were to suddenly nerf the Smasher or Annihilator, basically I would make a video saying the Annihilator and Smasher's nerfed, and then all of the 20,000 people that are playing these tanks combined are not going to buy any more overpowered premiums that are released because, well, they're going to be worried that they're nerfed. And rightfully so, they should be nerfed, but that's the issue, is that Wargaming would lose a huge chunk of profitability if they nerf these tanks, because people that buy them for what they are, the same people that were disappointed that the Titan wasn't a broken Halloween tank, that is why people wouldn't want to buy overpowered tanks in the future, and I actually understand, unfortunately, why Wargaming doesn't want to nerf these vehicles, but yeah, they still definitely are way too strong in Tier 7. I'm only going to show one more question that was asked in today's video, just because I don't want to have this video being 30-40 minutes long. If you guys want to watch the entire dev video that's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, I'll link it in the description down below. But I'm also going to be adding one more question that was in the dev video tomorrow for a whole video topic, because it's a pretty big one at that. But let's get into the final question.
So basically, I held a poll on my channel and asked how people thought about the consumables. And out of about 12,000 people, 80% of people said they'd rather have vehicles like the T110E5, Kranvang, and the FE2 instead of being nerfed around the consumables, just to have them removed and then have the tanks either brought back to their original states before they had them. Is that possible, instead of just nerfing the tanks around the consumables and provisions they may have?
If the balance team finds that the better to nerf some tanks, we decide to nerf some tanks. If we decide to nerf some consumables, we nerf some consumables, of course. So that's why we don't give some consumables on some tanks or some trees.
I'm not really sure if Wargaming didn't understand the question I asked at hand, or they just tried avoiding it altogether, but the question was a pretty simple one, and it makes sense when you think about it. The vehicle like the T110E5, this tank has speed boost and reactive armor. Now, before it was actually given these consumables, it was a pretty well-performing tank. There was nothing wrong with it, but there was also nothing really that made it super strong. It was just an average tier 10 heavy tank. It was called Captain America. I really liked the E5. When Wargaming gave it speed boost and reactive, it became what was a strong tank to an incredibly influential tank, one of the most used comp vehicles at the time. And then Wargaming decided to nerf it because they made it too strong in competitive tournaments. The issue is they didn't nerf what they originally put on it that made it so strong, being speed boost and reactive armor. They nerfed the actual statistics, which just completely plummeted the vehicle's enjoyment. I mean, the E5 is not a bad tank still. I made a video talking about how I still like it, but it's just not the same tank. It's a shell of its former self. Its DPM is so bad that you can run an M103 and literally get the exact same experience a tier lower. I mean, that's terrible. And a vehicle like the FE2 and 5B, I mean, the FE2 and 5B is a tank that was solely dependent on its gun. I mean, that was the thing that made the 2 and 5B the 2 and 5B. It had its accuracy and it had its DPM. And sure, its DPM is still strong for a tier 10 heavy, but it was like 3,000 base previously. They put it down to 2,700. That's a 300 damage per minute nerf. All because, again, they didn't want to touch the speed boost and reactive armor. I don't understand that. When they give these vehicles the consumables, they should also take them away before actually touching the base statistics of tanks. The 60 TP is another fantastic example. Wargaming actually nerfed the 60 TP right before it was released into the game on the dispersion and on movement dispersion instead of just removing tungsten shells. It's irritating to me that Wargaming can ruin vehicles' statistics and likability all because they don't want to hurt the so special consumables they have put on the tanks. That's my opinion, but it's an opinion that over 81% of you agree with and 13,000 of you voted on. Let me know what you guys think about these questions in the comments down below. There's many more that were asked there, but I thought these were the major ones that I'd bring up in today's video. Let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments down below.